What a beautiful display of pain, you said as your patient squirmed under you. Remind me, what happened again, exactly? The man hissed and angrily stared at you.
I told you, we were ambushed by heroes, and I got shot. Again!
You chuckled. It was a beautiful spring morning. You had been patiently watching one of your shows on your mini TV when suddenly a group of Paranormal Liberation Front members were carted in. Most surprising of all was one of them being your new boss. Quickly you discarded the other members, as they were too far gone anyways, so you could focus entirely on him. He was squirming like a worm, grunting like a sow, and moaning like a slave. I feel like there's more damage inside that body of yours. By now you had removed his clothes, with the exception of his underpants. Your fingers snaked around his thin frame. You may look skinny, you whispered, but I can feel your strength. Shigaraki, was it? You asked. He threw himself against his restraints in anger and frustration.
Yeah, heal me already!
You took a step back. But, Mr. Shigaraki, where's the fun in that? You crossed your arms. Do you even know what happens when I heal someone? His eyes narrowed.
Would that explain why you let the others die?
You shook your head. Oh, I didn't let them die. It was already too late for them. What I did to them was a mercy. Plus, they did kind of deserve it. Tomura Shigaraki squirmed once more as another wave of pain hit him.
I'm not your therapist!
He shouted, and you gave him an offended look. What makes you think this is therapy for me?
You talk like you're about to tell me why you are like this, and that you need help, or whatever.
You shrugged. Actually, you were. Sighing, you simply said, Well, Mr. Shigaraki, if you want to get healed by me, you kinda have to. He growled. See, that bullet you got there is in a very dangerous spot. It will lead to a long and arduous recovery period. And I'm merely here to make you skip that. You giggled. Hollow points are a bitch, aren't they? Whoever did the first aid on him was now the reason you could gloat like this. You wished you knew them. You'd give them a lollipop as thanks. See, Mr. Shigaraki, healers are rare. With all the doctors and nurses in the... what is it called this week now? Supernatural Liberation Front? Whatever. Feels like you people rebrand every other week. You've scoffed. In fact, in the entire army there are 3. And well, I for one am the best out of all of them. You narrowed your eyes. So shut up and let Mommy do her thing, okay? Shigaraki groaned, wishing he would throw you out of window right now. My quirk, Hollow Heart, is the combination of the ones my parents had. My father's quirk, Energy Vampire, allowed him to quite literally suck out the life energy of others, while my mom's quirk, simply called Heart, gave her the ability to transfer other people's wounds onto herself. You smiled darkly. Now, my quirk can rapidly age people's wounds. The exchange is simple. The time it would take for the wound to heal, you lose of your overall lifespan. But the time isn't lost. It gets added to my own. Shigaraki's eyes widened in both shock and anger.
You want to increase my suffering? He shouted. Just so you can sap more of my life energy, don't you?
You smiled. Precisely. Then you shrugged.
Why would you do that to your leader, you?
He threw an insult at your face, and you chuckled. You really shouldn't throw an insult at the only person left on the planet capable of healing you. By now you lost so much blood, hurt more of your organs while trying to wrestle with my restraints. Honestly, at this point, I should just let you die. It's your own fault. Tomura stopped moving and looked away, biting his lower lip in frustration.
You parasite, he hissed. I'm your boss.
Now it was your turn to narrow your eyes. No, you're not. You stepped behind him and looked down at his face. I'm a prisoner. Wrong place at the wrong time. I despise this terrorist organization. Your people are silly, thinking quirks should be used freely, while at the same time proving to pretty much everyone outside of Japan why quirks need regulations. It's funny, really. Japan is the only country on the planet stupid enough to think anarchy by quirk use will lead to politicians saying we should allow all quirk use no matter what. It's adorable and quite scary. Tomura thought quickly. If he wanted to get healed without losing half of his life in the process, he needed to appeal to you. I give your organization a few more years. Then you will be forced underground, or worse. In the meantime, I have gained so many years due to you people recklessly throwing yourselves at heroes, knowing full well you have a hero like me at home. I will be able to live 3 lifetimes out of captivity. You hummed. I was actually thinking of settling down somewhere nice. Open a small private kiddie clinic. You know, children don't give much life force as their boo-boos and ouchies are healed within a day or two.
Well, that does sound nice,
huffed Shigaraki. And you blinked in confusion. Oh? You genuinely did not expect that. He raised his head ever so slightly to get a better look into your eyes.
I mean, settling down after the war has been fought. Sounds like...
He winced in pain.
Something I can see myself do.
He was all lies, but he desperately hoped you didn't pick up on that. And finally, he was rewarded. You blushed, before finally doing something nice for him. You grabbed the wet cloth and began cleaning his face. Gently. Oh, are you now, Mr. Shigaraki? He grunted in pain, but replied with,
Call me Tomura.
Tomura's flirt game wasn't that good, primarily because he never cared about things like that. But he did pick up a few things from Dabi, who seemed to date a different girl every week since joining the army.
In fact, I was looking for... I was looking for someone who shared this dream with me.
You narrowed your eyes. He was so full of shit. But two can play that game. Besides, you needed to heal him soon, otherwise he'd die, wasting all those precious years. You grinned internally, knowing exactly what to say next, mostly to secure your continued safety and existence. You know, if it's a war you want, you would end up hurt over and over again. You went closer to his ear, and you'd be on my table again, over and over.
Good,
He growled.
more reason to talk to you.
This almost made you blush. Almost. But you saw through it. However, you could go for a relationship like this. At least it would be a change of pace.
I understand you being a prisoner.
Then you also understand why it's in your favor to keep me locked up. You walked around the table and sat down on a chair next to him, taking a syringe filled with something to lessen his pain. You poked it around his wound. You should be glad it's just a single hit you got there. Well, honestly, I should be. I couldn't keep on monologuing for so long, if it wasn't the case. He huffed in mild amusement.
Yeah, you seem to like that.
Smirking, you replied with a dry, I'm just really confident of my Quirk's ability. Plus, I don't really care if you die or not. Now let my magic do its thing. The wound had already been pressurized and dressed, so it wasn't really bleeding anymore. Using a pair of tweezers, you prodded carelessly around, until you found the metal object. The process took a while. Bullet, shrapnels, broken bone pieces. Quite nasty. They all needed to go. Thankfully, due to your quirk, wound healing was really the only thing you needed to do. Really convenient. Meanwhile, Shigaraki was just barely clinging onto consciousness.
What? No.
He huffed. This was where the fun begins. You climbed on top of the unprepared man, crawled up to his face. His eyes focused on you as well as they could. He couldn't think straight, probably due to lack of blood. And then you pressed your lips onto his mouth. At first, not fully understanding why, but then he felt warmth return to his body. His bones creaked, his mind melted. His cold lips felt dry against yours, but they became warmer and warmer by the second. The man arched his back and aggressively fought against his restraints. This was the real reason you had been placed into them to begin with. In this moment, your quirk began trading his life for the health you offered him. Once you let go, he looked at you in shock.
What the ever-loving hell?
He hushed. You smiled devilishly.
Tell me your name, now,
he demanded. Fine. I am the resurrection hero, deathbed companion. Shigaraki was impressed. Turned on, but impressed. After you climbed off of him, he growled.
You do realize after a spectacle like this, I cannot let you leave.
You shrugged. I already told you. Staying here only has benefits for me. Despite me not agreeing with your organization, of course. Finally, he undid his shackles. I will enjoy watching you and your terrorist friends be thrown back into the darkness, and I will love seeing your children's children die of old age. He smirked and rubbed over his wrists.
What if we win?
He went closer to him.
Even better. I get to watch an empire crumble.
Goosebumps began to appear on his skin, and he gave you a look that said more than 1,000 words.
I gotta admit, I never was so turned on in my entire life.